Hi everyone, hope you are doing great. This is the 14th video of Power Pages 30 Days Learning Challenge. So if you are new to this learning series, this is the mentorship program I started this new year, where we're going to dive deeper into the Power Pages from basic to advanced. And we're going to have some lab implementation where we quickly create the secure low code and low code no code business website. So if you just wanted to give a quick recap, so where we are right now. So we have covered some fundamental topics related to the Power Pages. So we covered the introduction, components, licensing model of the Power Pages. And then we have some practical implementation, lab-based implementation. So where we have set up the trial instance, and we discussed about the Designer Studio that provides the low code, no code capabilities to design the portals. We discussed about the forms, list, multi-step forms, content snippet to manage the content, security, form metadata. From last couple of sessions, we are discussing about the designing stuff. So like liquid templates, how to design the home pages using liquid templates, how the web links looks like, so how to customize your menu bar, navigation menu, toolbar options and all. Today's session is basically focused on the JavaScript. So that is a basically depends on the developers how to extend the Power Pages sites. So this is the beauty of this product that this product is not only for the low code no code developer but also provide the capabilities to all the professional developers as well, that they can write the code. They can write their own code to extend the portal capabilities. All right. So there are a lot of things about the JavaScript. We first wanted to understand that why the need of JavaScript, where we can write the JavaScript, because there are a lot of components in the Power Pages where you can write your JavaScript. So there is always a dilemma like, which component I should use or choose to write my script. Okay. So before getting into the implementation, just wanted to give a quick background about the JavaScript, okay, and some more core concept about the JavaScript in the terms of Power Pages, okay. So as I told you in my first session, where I was discussing about the Power Pages introduction, I told you like the portal is something it's not only for the low code no code developers. The objective of the Microsoft to introduce the Power Pages that anyone can write the code, or anyone can design the low code no code website. Okay, so it is basically for the Fusion team, and Fusion team is basically nothing but it is the collection of all the people of different backgrounds who can who either can write the code, who are not from the technical background, or who are from the administration background. Okay, so the Power Pages site is for everyone. So we have seen a lot of capabilities from the low code no code perspective. So we have discussed about the Power Pages Maker Studio, that is the Designer Studio, how to use the templates, and how to use the Learning Hub, how to use the data modeling and things, so that you can just within the Power Pages Designer Studio, how you can design a low code no code website, how you can design the data modeling in the Dataverse. So these all the capabilities provides that Microsoft has provided for the low code maker experiences. Okay, but if sometimes when you are creating a full-fledged website, you might need to extend the portal capabilities. So Microsoft has provided a lot of components to it, and they have provided you the capabilities that you can write your own code as well. Okay, so portal obviously doesn't support or allow you to write any server-side code, because it's a SaaS-based platform. So you cannot customize what is already written by the Microsoft in the background. So obviously the server-side code is not changeable, but you can extend the capabilities of the portal by writing the client-side scripting. Okay, so you have the option to write the HTML, you have the option to write the CSS, you have the option to write the custom JavaScript, and then some of the capabilities you can achieve it using liquid templates as well. All right. So this topic is all about the pro developer experiences, that how you can write the JavaScript. So the first question that we come in our mind, that why custom JavaScript is needed in the Power Pages. Okay, so Power Pages actually doesn't support the client side or the business rules or the custom JavaScript process that are available on the model driven app, because we have been discussing about that the Power Pages is tightly coupled with the Microsoft Dataverse in order to communicate the data. So does it support the script also that we write it in the model driven app or in the Dataverse? So answer is no, because the script that we write it within the model driven app or in the Dataverse is basically depends on the XRM model. And that XRM based model is not yet supported on the custom JavaScript that we write it on the portal or on the Power Pages. Okay, then what kind of script we can write it? So sometimes this is one of the major question people ask on the community. Can we reuse the same script, same like other components we are using from Dataverse to the Power Pages? So can we write the same script for Power Pages and the model driven app, and we can reuse it to the Power Pages? So the answer is no, because Portal supports the DOM-based JavaScript, and the model-driven app or the Dataverse support the XRM model-based JavaScript. So both are totally different. So if you have to write your JavaScript in the portal, so you have the DOM-based capabilities that can be added directly to your pages within the Designer Studio. That is Microsoft has made available that the VS Code is now directly integrated with your Designer Studio. So you don't need to worry about how you write the code in a old-fashioned controls. So you can now directly, open your JavaScript, HTML, CSS, or your liquid template code directly in the VS Code and directly make the changes in your browser, and you can save it directly to your Dataverse. All right. So we will have a look into it in the practical implementation, that how you can write your custom JavaScript. When should I write the custom JavaScript? So, there are a lot of business use cases or the requirement where you need to write the custom JavaScript to extend the portal capabilities. So the one first requirement is to get the HTML control ID, because whatever forms, views, or controls of the Dataverse we are reusing on the portal pages basically rendered in the form of HTML, right? So if you have to get the control, or in order to get the value of the column value in the model driven app, we use the execution context and the form context so that we get the contextual information from the form. But in the portal, there is no context as such. We have to retrieve all the column values using the HTML control, right? So you need to use the DOM based JavaScript and the jQuery, and you need to retrieve the data from the controls, from the HTML controls using JavaScript. Okay. Second requirement is to perform the client side validation. So sometimes if you have to, so there are a couple of other features we already have, like regular expressions and all, that we can also use it to perform the client side validations. But sometimes you have some complex validations also, right? For example, some conditional based client side validation. Sometimes you have to read the data in your Dataverse, and based on the value of the Dataverse value, then you have to change, you have to perform the validation. And sometimes you have to read the data from any external application through the API, then you have to perform the validation. So some complex business validation, you need the business JavaScript or the jQuery to apply the DOM-based CSS conditionally on a particular event. So we have a lot of capabilities to write the CSS. Some default CSS are also there, but you can also extend the CSS capabilities as well. So CSS I'm going to discuss about in the next session. But same like the scripting and the other components, we can extend the CSS as well. But sometimes we have to write the script within the JavaScript, right? So CSS we have to write within the JavaScript if you have to apply the CSS conditionally, or if we have to apply the CSS on a particular event. So in that case, we have to, sometimes conditionally write the CSS. Some complex CSS like functions like append, next, parent. So these kind of CSS we need the JavaScript to perform the general validation on the default button. So sometimes this is one of the most common requirement, like when we expose the form on the portal, we get to see some of the defaults buttons on the form like submit, next, previous. So sometimes what happens is we want to, restrict user to submit the out of box button unless some of the specific condition is has been met. OK, so these kind of things, if you have to perform any sort of validation on the next submit or out of box button, then you can also use the custom JavaScript. So we're going to have a look into it, how you can perform the general validation on the form. To call the portal web API, so portal web API that Microsoft is one of the most popular feature that Microsoft has incorporated in the Power Pages. So earlier we did not had any option to perform the CRUD operation. We don't have any such REST API available. But nowadays we have the portal web API available. So if you have to perform any sort of CRUD operation directly in the Dataverse, you can also use the portal web API. So portal web API, you have to call it using JavaScript. So there are some settings are there. So we're gonna have the dedicated session on the portal web API. So just stay tuned. I'll discuss about the portal web API in more deep dive manner in that session. But we need the JavaScript to perform the portal web API operations. To call any external API to retrieve the data from the external application. Sometimes we have to integrate our Power Pages site with some external application, and we have to retrieve the data from the external application by calling some of the REST API or any sort of APIs that your client is providing. And sometimes you have to store those data in your Dataverse, or sometimes you have to on the fly just retrieve the data and just display on the portal. Okay, so let's say I'm creating a, let's say, retail based portal, and I just want I want to display the products on my Power Pages, but all these product details my customer don't want to store it in the Dataverse. They want to expose an API, and using that API, I want to retrieve all those details about the product, like the product images, product prices, the discounts and everything. So I just need to call that API to get the product details from that external system, and I have to display it on the portal. So for that purpose also, I only have the option of JavaScript so that I can call that API, get the data and render it on the portal using the HTML. Okay. To create the code components, so custom components, code component, PCF controls, all that names are of the same. So basically, if you have to create any custom components, so you have to use the JavaScript and the TypeScript. So that is basically not part of Power Pages, but still you have to create the JavaScript or the TypeScript based component, and you can import that solution inside your Power Pages or your Dynamic 365 solution so that you can expose those components to the Power Pages. So in order to create the PCF controls, you still need to write the JavaScript. If you have to add any external libraries, sometimes the JavaScript that you are writing is not enough to extend the portal feature. Some of the ready-made plugins, plug-and-play solutions, and some external libraries are available on the external sites, so that you can also use it just for the UX enhancements, or just to provide any additional features, right? So for example, if you have to provide the map integrations, or if you have to provide the routing service, or if you have to use some additional version of the charts or the dashboard on the Power Pages, or some specific modeled pop-up dialog boot box type of dialog boxes, pop-up boxes. So in that case, you often refer some external libraries. So in that purpose also you use the custom JavaScript. All right. So these are the some of the use cases when you have to write the custom JavaScript. Where can I write the JavaScript in the Power Pages? So this is one of the most asked question on the community as well, that there are different components are there, and so first of all, we should understand in the Power Pages, what are the components where I can write the JavaScript. Okay, so the first component is the portal pages. So as we have seen in the last couple of sessions, we have been creating a lot of pages in order to display, the forms page, the list and a lot of information. So we have the option to write the HTML, CSS in the JavaScript, right? So portal pages is one of the main component where you can write your script. Second component is your basic form. Okay, so form is also one of the most key component of the Power Pages, where you have a lot of fields, you have controls of the forms. So obviously we need sometimes to write the script to perform the validations or to extend the form capabilities. The third component is the multi-step form. So same like basic form, we have the multi-step form where we also have the option to write the script. List to display the data that we have in the dataverse. So it also has the capabilities that we can write the script there as well. Web templates, that is also one of the most used components. So if you have to write some reusable code or template based code, then in that case we can use the web templates to write the custom script. Content snippet is also we discussed about that in our earlier session. So where you can also write the custom JavaScript. And the last is the web file. So sometimes web file is not a component where you can write the script. So there is no editor as such, but it has the capability to store your JavaScript files. So sometimes you want to create a reusable JavaScript, and in order to copy paste the same JavaScript on the multiple pages or the web template, you can attach that file into the web file and can refer that web file in your multiple pages and the templates in order to refer that JavaScript in your code. Okay. So web file is basically a container where you can store your the script files. So it is not only to store your own script file, but you can add some external libraries. So if you are referring any external JavaScript or library files, so that you can also store it in the web file. Okay. All right. So the next thing is that how do you decide like where to write the JavaScript? Because you have seen there are a lot of components are there where you can write or place your JavaScript code. But how do you decide like which component I have to use it to write my JavaScript? So the first thing is the portal page. The first component is the portal page. So where I have to write my custom JavaScript in the portal page, where I have to sometimes I am in the situation where I have to write the JavaScript along with the HTML, CSS liquid on a particular page. Then in that case, I should use the portal pages. Okay. Basic form. In the portal pages also, we have the option to write the custom JavaScript individually. So on the portal pages, there are two options to write the script. First is the copy HTML. I'm going to show you quickly in the live implementation. So in the portal pages, we have two options to write the script. First is your copy HTML. Okay. And the second is the custom JavaScript section. So portal pages section, we should always use it when you have to write the script along with the other languages like liquid language or HTML plus CSS. If you are combinedly using all these, coding language, then you have to use the portal pages. If you have to only write the custom JavaScript on the portal pages, then you have to choose the custom JavaScript section. So there is a dedicated section on the portal pages called custom JavaScript. So if you have to write only script, then you have to choose that particular section to write your script. When do you use the basic form? So if you have to write only JavaScript on a particular form, then you have to use the basic form. Sometimes there are a lot of questions like my form is associated with the pages and I've already written my script on the pages, and there is no sense to write the script on the forms. So yeah, you are right. If you are already written your script on the pages, there is no need to write on the forms. But why Microsoft has given this custom JavaScript option on the form individually? The reason being, sometimes your basic form or your multi-step form can be used as a standalone components, right? So in my last session, I guess I discussed about it that while I'm designing the home page, so I have used basic form, multi-step form, and the list as a standalone components. I was not using as a page component, right? I have directly included the forms and the list inside my pages using the liquid template syntax, right? So in that case, if you are including your entity form or your basic form or your multi-step form within your page, within your web template, in that case, your custom JavaScript written on a particular form or particular list applies it, right? So in that case, the script that you have written on the page will not apply. Okay. Third is the multi-step form. So same like the basic form, if you have to write the JavaScript only on the particular form step, because multi-step form is nothing. It is the collection of steps. So if you have to write any sort of script, if you have to extend the capabilities of a particular script or custom validation on a particular step, then you have to write the script on a particular form step. List. If you have to write a JavaScript on a particular list, then you have to choose the custom JavaScript section of the list component. Web template. If you have to write any reusable JavaScript along with the HTML, CSS, liquid on the multiple pages. So web template is basically the concept that actually provide you the template based coding. So sometimes the concept of the template is the template concept is basically to, reuse your code. So sometimes, the same snippet of code you want to use it on multiple pages. So you can create a web template of that and you can refer it on the multiple pages. Okay. So this is about the web template when you have to when you have to write the reusable JavaScript along with the HTML, CSS and liquid, and you have to refer it on the multiple pages. Then you have to go with the web template. Content snippet is also like the web template, but the web template has some, extended capabilities because it is basically used on the multiple pages. You can directly associate your web templates with multiple pages, but content snippet, you cannot associate it. It is just a standalone component and it is basically used to manage your content, but you can write your script there. You can write your liquid code there, but you can also include that in your web template or in your web pages, but you cannot associate it with the pages directly. But the web template provides you that capability. Okay. And the last thing is the web file. So it's obviously like if you have to store any JS file extension or any external JS library, if you have to just store the file, then you can simply use the web files, and these web files can directly be referred in the form of URL under the script tag in your HTML code on various pages and the template. So it is also providing you the reusable capabilities. Okay, so let's say you have created a web file and you have just attached your JavaScript there, and now you can reuse that script on multiple pages, on multiple templates in your content snippet by just referring the URL of your web file. Okay, so this is how you decide where you have to write your custom JavaScript. There are some sample example I have just show it to you, like custom JavaScript. If you have to just have to retrieve the control of your logical name of your attribute, then this is the syntax you have to use it. So it is just a simple DOM based JavaScript of the jQuery. So let's say here the title is basically the name or the logical name of my field that is available on the Dataverse form. So if you have to retrieve the value of it, you can simply use the syntax. Or there are a lot of properties are there. If you have to hide it, if you have to show it, if you have to make the field disable. So all these properties for to perform all these operations, you need to retrieve the the control ID, right? So for that purpose, you need to use the custom JavaScript. Second example is when you have to perform the client side validation, because sometimes you might need to customize the validation of the fields on the form, right? So there are some of the validation that Microsoft has already written at the server side, but sometimes you have to perform your own validation based on some of the conditions, right? So that in that case, you have the capabilities to perform the client side validation using JavaScript. So for example, like you want to force user to specify the email address only when they are selecting preferred method of contact is email, right? So if they are choosing like my preferred way of communication is email, then we have to make the email field mandatory. So this is just a conditional validation that you cannot handle from the Dataverse form. Okay. The third example is your custom JavaScript example for general validation. So this we're gonna have a look in the practical implementation, like how to apply a custom JavaScript on the next or the submit button so that you can ensure that unless a particular condition is met, you will not allow to submit the data to the Dataverse. Okay, so let's get into the implementation quickly and let's have a look how the custom JavaScript can be written. So this is my Power Apps Maker portals where you have to choose whether you have to go to the Power Pages Designer Studio or to the model driven app. So I've already opened the Designer Studio here. So if you can see here, I have already some of the pages available. So if I want to see like how can I write the code? So there are a couple of ways. The first is like if I want to write the code on the page level. So I already have the option called edit code. So I can directly open it in the VS Code. So if I click here, it takes me to the Visual Studio Code on my browser. And here you can write HTML, you can write your custom JavaScript, you can write your CSS or the liquid template code. So as I told you, this is basically the copy HTML part of the page. OK, because these are the pages. And as I told you in my slide there, on the page, there are two options. So if I head over to my model driven app, I can show it quickly that where you can write the script on the pages. So if I open, OK, if I head over to the web page and open the page called, let's say I'm just opening the same page called publish event. OK, so this is the page I have that I've opened the same page in the Designer Studio. Now, if I open the page and open the localized content, I have two options to write the script or to write the code. The first option is the copy HTML. So this is one section. And the another option is the advanced part where you can also write the custom JavaScript. OK, how do I choose like whether I have to write the script here or here? So as I told you earlier, here you always write the script where if you have to use the, so now you can see here the HTML is written here, the the liquid template is also written. You can write your CSS also. So this is basically a placeholder which actually allows you to write any sort of code, any sort of client side code, which is the combination of HTML, CSS, liquid template, and the custom JavaScript. OK, but sometimes you have to only write the custom JavaScript or the DOM based JavaScript. Then I would recommend to not use this control. You should always go to the advanced part and write your JavaScript here. Because whatever you can write in the copy HTML like HTML and all, if you just copy it and paste it over here, it will not work because this control is only for the JavaScript. OK, so you have to carefully decide like which control you have to use it, because no one is going to guide you about this, that where you have to place your control. If you have the the code which is the combination of HTML, CSS, liquid template, and the custom script, then you have to choose copy HTML, and this copy HTML you can directly edit in the VS Code as well. So if I make any changes here and directly press Control Save, it directly sync my changes to my portal configuration or in the Dataverse, and I can reflect the changes on the portal UI as well. OK, so this is about the web page. Now, if you can see here, if I go to the basic form, so this is about the page. Now, if I head over to the basic form, if I open the publish event form here, in the additional setting, I have the option called custom JavaScript. OK, so here is the custom JavaScript option. So here I can also write the script, and I already told you this publish event form is connected to this page, right? Publish event page. So publish event web page and publish event form are both are connected. So if I'm writing any script on the publish event page, it will also reflect on the publish event form as well, right? If they are both connected to each other. But if I'm using this publish event form as a standalone form, I don't want to use it along with the page. Then the script that you have written on the page will not work here, right? So for example, in my if I just check here, what I have done is I have included the entity list individually on the page. I have included web form individually on the page, right? So that means I'm directly using this form here. So whatever page is associated with this particular form, if you have written any script on that, it will not reflect here. So in this case, whenever you want to include your web form or your basic form or your entity list individually, then you have to write your script here so that it will automatically reflect there. So in the base publish event form, if I just view the UI of it, I want to perform some of the validation. I want to write some of the custom JavaScript here. So the first custom JavaScript that I want here is I just heading over to the publish event. Now what I want is there are two validation I want to perform. The first validation I want to show is Let me first remove this JavaScript. Okay. Okay. Now, first JavaScript I want to write here is I have a field called event mode. And in this event mode, I have an option called in person. So I want to ensure that if the user is submitting a particular event or publishing an event, they should not choose in-person event mode. OK, if they choose the in-person mode and publishing the event or try to submit the details, I should want to throw the error message that in-person event is not allowed right now due to COVID. OK, so let's say what I have done here in the basic form. I have written a script here, a basic script, and you can get the syntax of it directly from the MS Docs as well. So if I just go to the custom JavaScript in Power Apps portals or Power Pages, you can also search it that like that. So here in the first link, you will get this all the code that if you have to retrieve the form field value, you just need to use this syntax. If you have to perform any side of client side validation, then you have to use this syntax. So only specific control related uh, coding only needs to change, but the rest of the syntax will remain same. So here they are validating the email address, so that's why they are using the control email address one. But if you are performing the validation on any other fields, then you just need to replace the control here, and that's it, and the remaining part will remain same. General validation is basically you apply on the next and submit button, so that we also have a look at it. So you can just copy the syntax from here. So first of all, I just wanted to show you this additional client side validation part here. Now what I want to do is if user choose the event mode as in person and try to submit the details, I want to throw them the error. The in-person events are not allowed. So what I've done here. So this is the normal syntax I'm using. I want to perform the validation on this field event mode validator. So how I got this ID, I'll head over to my pages and just click here, right click on inspect. So here you can find the logical name of that particular field. So this is the ID by which you can refer this whole control. So if you have to change any properties of this control, so let's say if you want to hide this, if you want to disable this, if you want to change the background color of it, if you want to change any property of it, you have to refer this control using this particular HTML control ID. OK, but what I want to do is I want to get the value of it. OK, so I'll just copy this and if you just want to test it, whether your syntax is correct or not, you can simply use the console and here you can write the syntax. So this is the syntax of the jQuery in order to retrieve the value of any HTML control ID. So put dollar parenthesis, single quotes, hashtag, and this. So since this is an ID, right? So this control has an ID. That's why I'm using the hash, keyword or hash a special character to get the value of it. If it is a class, then I have to use the dot here. OK, because class control can be accessed by the dot and the ID controls can be getted using the hash symbol. So I just want to get the value of it and just simply use the syntax val. So if I hit this, if I hit enter, I should expect the value of it. But since there is no value yet, so let me choose in person. OK, and if I try to hit this, this will give me the code of it because it's a basically a choice field in the Dataverse, or here it's a drop down, and like choice field actually converted to the drop down on the Power Pages, and every drop down basically store two values, label and its integer value. OK, so I'll just copy this. OK, because I want to make sure like if user choose this, so I want to check the condition in my code. If they are choosing this value, then I'll throw the error. So in the basic form, what I've done is I'll just simply getting the value and store it into the contact method. So I'm just changing it to probably the event mode. OK, and also I'll choose where. So if the event mode is I'm just getting the value. If the event mode is in person, I'm returning false, or if it is any other mode, then I'm returning true. So when you return false, it makes sure that the form will not be submitted. Okay, but you have to throw the error message as well. So for throwing the error message, you have to use this validator actually. So you have to write the same line of code to throw the error for each control. So what I've done is I've just created a new control here called span because I want to create a new HTML element just to display the error message. So I just created an element called span, and on which control I want to perform the validation. So this is my control. This is the validator ID. I've just kept it. And on which control I want to perform a validation. So this is the logical name of my control. And once the error message is thrown, what error message I want to throw here. So I just provided my message. In-person events are not allowed currently due to COVID-19. OK, and if user clicks on this, I want to take user to this particular control ID. So this is just a simple validator creation. So you can do it for any other fields as well. But here is your logic. You want to check whether your event mode is in person or your any other mode. Based on that, you are just returning false and true. Returning false basically ensure that the data will not be submitted to the Dataverse. All right. So if I just try to submit the event, so let's say I'm just putting the event name called let's say Power Pages event. Description, I'm just putting the same. Just randomly select some of the values here. So event mode, I'm taking the in-person event location. I'm just taking some here. Okay, she was the. Now if I try to submit it, you can see when I try to submit the details, I got the error message that form could not be submitted due to formal reason. In-person events are not allowed currently due to COVID-19. Since I made this validation error message as anchor type, so that if user try to click on it, they will directly straight away go to this href. In the href, I have given the label so that if user clicks on the link of the error message, they will directly redirect to this particular label. OK, so that they can directly check like which field is giving me the error message. Right. So the label of this event mode, I can check it by directly right click on this inspect. And here you can see this is the label of it. So when I'm trying to click on this particular link, it will takes me to this event mode label. All right. So this is the one example of custom JavaScript where if you have to perform any sort of client side validation. The second part is I want to show you the code I had written here. I think it's OK. So OK, so this was the another code. This is the general validation actually. So this code is basically used for client side validation, and this is the code basically we use it for on out of the button out of the box button that we are displaying on the portal. So let's say on the portal we have a button called submit. OK, most of the time what happen is before so this submit button we cannot customize because the logic which is written on the click of this submit button is basically available in the server side code or in the ASPX code, right? Because portal is a SaaS based application, and whatever logic is written, because if you are filling up this data and try to submit it, obviously some API or some connection is being made in the background, and then the data is being pushed to the Dataverse. So some validation or some logic is written on this submit button. So we cannot neither we can see the code or the logic, or nor we can change the logic, right? So but sometimes we need to ensure, we need to make sure like before submitting the logic to the Dataverse, some conditions should be met. If that condition is not met, then we want to perform we want to throw the error message. OK, so in that case you have to use the general validation. So as you can see here, this is the general validation syntax. So let's say what I'm doing in my basic form here is I'm just checking like if this event location value is in person. So let's say this event location is basically a text field, and here I'm checking if the event location user is providing in-person text, then I want to throw them the error message and they will not be able to submit the data. Okay, so let's say I'm just heading over to the basic form, save this data and sync the changes. So both are two different things. Okay, the first is client side validation, and the second is the general validation. The client side validation actually check whether the data which is been filled on the form is correct or not. But the general validation is basically something that actually you can write it on the top of the out of box submit button. Okay, so I can go to the publish event and putting some random data here just to for the testing purpose, choosing virtual here, but here I'm just writing in person because my logic is based on that. And if I hit submit, you see the message currently in person events are not allowed due to COVID-19 guidelines. And here I am providing the condition like if the value is in person, I'm just giving the alert. And now this alert could be anything. You can just show the pop-up box, anything you can just show it to the user and return it false. So by if I'm returning it to false, then this data will not be submitted to the Dataverse. All right. So there are two examples I have shown you. First is your custom JavaScript client side validation and the general validation. Now there are a couple of other examples is also there. Like now these validation is not only necessary that you can write it in the custom JavaScript section. You can write it along with your HTML code as well. So you can write this validation uh, in your content snippet. You can write it in the web templates. Anywhere you can write it. OK. So there are some more advanced example of the custom JavaScript that I want to discuss with you in upcoming session because we have a dedicated session on the portal web API. OK, so the portal web API is one of the most important session where we're going to discuss about how you can perform the CRUD operation in the Dataverse. And in the same session we're going to have a look also like how you can use the JavaScript in order to call any external API, because there are a lot of requirements we have where customer is looking for like how you call the external API in the Power Pages in a more secure way by passing the all the API details and all. So we're going to have look into it as well, that how we can call the portal API and how we can call the custom API as well, right? So extend the portal capabilities. So thank you so much for watching this video. And believe me, there are a lot of great content is coming, and the next session is going to be more fun. And I think it's all about the SharePoint integration that actually allows you to upload the document in the SharePoint. And then we have some more advanced sessions as well, like the portal web API, how you can upload the documents from the portal. So stay tuned, take care, stay safe, and bye bye.